What's up, wonderful world of the internet? It's a dark and rainy Friday night, but things are about to get brighter because we're here with Raphaël Chouinard, the strings and voice of Les Shirley. How you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Pretty good, pretty good. Why don't you
Awesome.
tell us a little bit about the band?
Yeah, well, Les Shirley, we are a rock power trio from Montreal. Three really best friends, actually. And I think it can show the way we write together and the way we perform on stage, definitely. But yeah, three Shirleys, because this is what Shirley is all about. It's like it's like a ride or die. It's like a very good Shirley boy, Shirley girl. So yeah, we play the rock music, and yeah, we're somehow I'm at some point gonna make other shows. So we just released an album, so it would be nice.
Yeah, hopefully those shows come back soon. Where'd you
Yeah.
guys come up with the name Les Shirley?
Ooh, oh my God, that's like an inside joke actually, because we were like calling each other Shirley for like years before that. And when we started the band, actually, because like Sarah and Lisanne are both drummers. So when we started this project, Sarah had to be like, okay, I'm just gonna, buy a bass and just learn the bass, which she did amazingly. But yeah, basically, so we had like I never thought of having a project, the three of us together. So I guess when we just started this project, it just came naturally. I think the first rehearsal we did, if I recall, we found the name of the band and we wrote the first song that very day. So we were like, okay, yeah, there's something there. It clicks, definitely.
Awesome. So I mean, music is a part of everybody's life, whether they like it or not. It's in the background. It's everywhere you go. When did you first realize that like music was in your blood? That it was something you needed to do?
Ooh, I would say like from a very early age, but like, because I remember, the first cassette, because it was that back then, on your Walkman, you would listen. And I bought Aqua. I don't know if you know this band, Barbie
I'm
Girl.
very familiar with Aqua. That's my time.
Yes. So yeah, so we just like basically I just bought the two cassettes, and somehow this music is not at all what I would listen to today, but it's when it got me. I don't know how. Like I was possessed. Like I would listen to that like all day, all night, and just trying to figure out what it was saying. Also, because when you don't really know English back then I was like trying to figure out what they were talking about. And now that I know what they're talking about, it's kind of very bullshit.
I'm sure if the song was it Mr. Jones? Do you
Ah,
remember that?
Dr. Jones, Dr.
Dr. Jones. If that came on now, I could probably still sing along with it.
Jones. Yeah, of course, of course. And the fun fact about that is that Aqua came to Montreal to play a show. Like the first time ever they came to Canada, actually. They did like a tour in 2018 or 19. And I was there at the Metropolis when they played, and I was like amazed. Like, wow. Like live
Wow,
Aqua, like so unexpected. But yeah, I feel like everybody that was in that room was like, diehard fans from back then. So
that's it. It's so nostalgic. I'm sure if I had heard about that show, I probably would have wanted to go too, but I didn't. I missed that one.
sad because it's definitely a highlight.
What were one of the bands that got you into rock music?
Ooh, rock music I got because I feel like my mom didn't never really listened to any rock music, so I got into rock and roll later in my life. I think in high school, but I would say it's like with punk rock, like Blink-182 and those kind of bands that were kind of like more on the pop side. And then afterward, I went like backward. I got into the pop side, and then I dig deeper after that. Uh, but definitely Blink-182 is up there with like Sum 41, Simple Plan, I think, like those kind of, and then I switched to emo, of course.
I think everybody did in the early 2000s.
Oh man, yes. Like from one day to the next, I was like, okay, no, I'm dedicated to this now. This is my life. I
I
have a,
got into that scene a little bit late. When emo was like really popular, I was so against it because I was into like Nirvana and like Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and stuff like that. So I was just like, oh, this emo music, I can't do it. And now I look back at it and I hear these songs from like Panic at the Disco and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh man, I could jam to this now. No shame.
totally, totally. It's awesome, honestly. It was like a game changer for me too. Like, because when the first band you get in high school and you just like you don't know how to write your own music yet, and you just like basically cover other bands. Like I guess I don't know. I would do like I remember doing what was it called? Sugar, You're Going Down by yeah. This is like what's
Is that Fall Out Boy?
All Boys. Yeah, that band really like hit a string for me too. Like they were so good. Of course, The Used. But yeah, I got into the grunge as well. I love Nirvana. Absolutely love them. Like, and I am not a poser. Like you can ask me about all the songs and all the albums and I will know them. I just don't say that I like Kurt Cobain just because, it's cool to like him. I really like him.
Nice. I'm on the same page with that. I got my Nirvana mug right here.
Awesome.
So who was one of your earliest guitar heroes?
Ooh, that's a good question. I believe, honestly, when I heard Yanza from Billy Talent, because this guy is basically, there's like one guitar in that band, and
he's tight.
The rhythm and the lead at the same times, usually like on this lick. It's so intricate and so crazy, and it feels like, well, probably they boosted that recording it. Maybe there's like a couple of layers of guitar, but even live, he is a monster. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, and he's very, very tight.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first where I got like, okay, wow, this is impressive. Like, when you play that after playing a Blink-182 song, it's not the same level of difficulty, let's say.
Yeah. And they're a band that still holds up today. Like they haven't changed. You've heard their style change a little bit. They've gotten a bit more commercial, but they stayed so true to their sound, and they're just as good today as they were when they first came out with Billy Talent 1.
Agreed. Yes, they are definitely. I've seen them in what was it? The Rock Fest, Montebello Rock Fest, and I was like in the third row, I think, in the very front. And when the show started with Midnight Mass, Devil in the Midnight Mass, the crowd just went like crazy, and I swear I just lifted from like I was not touching ground anymore. And I was like, okay, I need to get out of here. I'm going to get crushed in between people and I'm going to die. And so I just got out as fast as I could, but it was like insane, honestly. And yeah, pretty tight band live. I've seen them a couple times and never disappointed.
Oh, they're on my bucket list to see. I still haven't seen them yet.
Come on, no Aqua, no Billy Talent.
I've got kids. I don't have time to go out for shows unless they're my own.
I understand that. I don't have kids, but I understand.
Yeah. You were mentioning you owned the Aqua CD or cassette actually back in the day. Do you remember what's the first CD you went out and bought with your own money?
Ooh, I think it's with my own money. I think it's Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory, or Meteora, the second one. Linkin Park, Meteora.
Nice.
And I think the same day I bought Nellyville, that, and like something else. I don't remember. But yeah, that was definitely in the first. Evanescence, I think, Fallen. Yeah, the first. That was, well, an obsession of mine. Like I literally listened to that album for like a year every day. I would get back to school, like sit down in front of my computer, put the CD in, and listen to it. Like over and over. Like it's, when you're a teenager, sometimes you get crazy about this thing. It's not often now that I'm as moved by music as I was back then, but when I am, I get pretty obsessive.
Cool. Let's go back to Les Shirley for a little bit here. Are you the main songwriter for the band, or do you guys write all together?
I mean, the music is it depends, but the lyrics is 100% me. But music, I would say, like, if I think about the tracks on the album, like, sometimes Sarah would come up with a song, like Trigger. She just came up with the whole song, like the whole structure for it, the whole chord progressions and all. She had, like, written it in between sound checks, like at a show. I remember that, on an acoustic guitar. Anyway, and then, so that one, but then some of them I wrote, like Stuck in the Middle from the first EP. I came as well with the whole structure on it. The solo, everything was there. But sometimes it's going to be like a lick. I can bring in a lick, or she can bring in some notes, and then we will like go from there. And Lisanne is as well, the drummer is as well a big part of the songwriting with us. She's not just the drummer. She really has some amazing ideas all the time. And some songs like Courtney, I think we were like kind of trying to try something new, and we just like we went for like a 2 chord song. We just said, okay, let's try to like write a song with only 2 chords and make the melody, like the vocal melody, so interesting and so moving and changing that people will not notice it's only 2 chords. But yeah, so pretty much we're a team, but lyric wise, it's only me.
So do you sit down and write lyrics without the music? Like, what comes first?
Music always. I feel like music is gonna tell me what to say. Like the team is always gonna come afterward. Like it's a rare occasion that I just said, oh yeah, I already have a text. Like sometimes, but it's not usually. Yeah.
I find it very difficult to write lyrics without music. I find the music should come first, and then the song kind of writes itself.
Exactly, because you get the vibe of the song, and then the team is kind of like imposing itself, and then you kind of like, and even to like, I don't know, for me it's like a grid. Let's say I just see like lyrics. I need to like, okay, I have this melody, and I need to fit the words into the melody so it works. So it's like this is really the way my brain seems to function when I'm facing a lyrics problem.
Who did the artwork for that EP, by the way?
Oh, he's a really cool guy from, his name is Kenneth McLaurin. He's from Ottawa. And he's the one who did also the House of Targ logo for the music venue over there. So
Nice.
we just like, the girls knew them. I think they worked together for the No Bro, something like their single artwork or something. And they were like, oh, let's try what it could bring, because we were struggling. Actually, we were like, we didn't really know what we wanted on the cover. And then some, like randomly, I have like a big collection of vinyls here, and randomly the girls were going through it, and they just found this like vinyl of, her name is Raphaëlle. She's like an artist from like the 60s 70s, and just the orange, it was like an orange thing, and kind of like had this some elements that we got, it like really inspired us. And I was like, oh, it would be nice to have like this flashy color with like, because we had really cool press photos. I was like, let's try to put our face on there just for once. I'm not a huge fan usually of putting band photos on covers, but this time it worked.
Cool. I was actually wondering about the earlier EP with the animated cover.
Yes. That's actually with my friends. Her name is Geneviève Lebleu, and she's like an amazing artist. Like she does graphic novels, and I really like her whole like universe and her whole imagination. And I literally just sent her the 4-track EP, and I said, okay, just listen to it, and like whatever comes to your mind, just like let it pour, like let it out. And the first draft, she presented that image, and we were like, oh my god, it's perfect.
It really reminds me of the artwork from the TV show Adventure Time.
Yeah. It's I can see the link there, definitely.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So back in the early 2000s, I know you grew up probably watching French TV, but I grew up watching a channel called YTV, and there was a TV show called Caitlin's Way.
Yes.
Where this young girl moves from, I can't remember where, some big city. She moves out to Montana.
Yeah.
And I think it was on your Bandcamp that I read that you based the song Caitlin Montana off of that TV show.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that we had that show translated in French, and the translated title was Caitlin Montana. Like Caitlin, I think, yeah, comma Montana or whatever. And I was like, oh, this sounds like it could be just her name, Caitlin Montana. And I actually didn't know before writing that song that the name was actually Caitlin's Way. It's afterward when like I tried to I did some research. I was like, oh, perfect, even better. Like, yeah. And I also wrote to her, like I think the actress name is like Lindsay. She's Lindsay something. And I just found her on Instagram, and I was like, okay, just letting you know that, we wrote a song about your character back then. And she like answered, oh my God, so cool.
Oh, that is really cool that she actually responded.
Felton, that's her name, Lindsay Felton. Yeah.
Cool. That's actually really cool that like she responded back to you and was like really happy about that.
I know, it's kind of a life goal check.
Yeah. With the release of Corbin Dallas, you guys went from pretty much a small Montreal unknown band to one of the biggest bands in Montreal. At what moment did you realize, like, wow, things are getting big fast?
I don't know if I even realized that. I don't know. I mean, especially with like the release, because well, a lot happened in like such a short amount of time. I feel because yeah, I guess at first it was like more like a we were going at it with like a little, not a joke, but like very little, not hopes. I don't know how to say it. Like I don't want to diminish. Like we were really serious about music, but I mean we were
Of
like
course.
really approaching it from like a funny side, like, oh, let's just have fun on stage and let's see. And then really quickly we saw that people were actually engaging in the shows and they were really like, there was an energy there, like we could feel it. And I don't know, I feel like, you know, really quickly, like when we won the prize at Gamic for the, EP, Rock EP of the Year and Best New Artist, I was like, well, Rock EP, I was like, okay, that's possible. But when we won like Best New Artist, I was like, I was not expecting that at all, and it was like a very amazing night. I remember that clearly, and also we performed at the, which is such a cool opportunity because all of the music industry is in that room. So like you better, you have 3 minutes. Let's make it big, and I think we really left that impression on people because they still talk about that performance. That's Corbin Dallas. We played that live with like two dancers. But yeah, I feel like, after the pandemic and all, we had an amazing summer planned for 2020. We were doing all the festivals like FAQ, all of that. And I was like, oh my God, it's a life goal for me. Like finally, after, X years, X amount of time, like trying to be a professional musician. And finally you're like reaching that step. And then the pandemic hit and I was like, oh my God, so depressed. But yeah, we came out with a new album. This is nice. And then you never know, is the momentum gone? Is the people are still going to be down with the project? Is, what people want to hear after a year into pandemic? And then I find that the album really came out at the right time, like when after a year of pandemic, so people are fed up with it, and it's so light and punchy and catchy and happy that it's like people kind of needed that, I guess, in a way. And I just say that because we got a lot of feedback from it from different people, and they were all saying that, oh yeah, it feels nice to have like this album to like, I don't know, trash and let it all out. So I'm really happy with that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
we're-
find the pandemic really like forced most artists to kind of focus their energy on like promoting everything they do online.
yes,
And I mean, everyone's at home right now sitting on the computer anyway, so I guess it kind of helps in a sense.
it actually does because people are really like craving content right now, online content. So this is really good. And like, yeah, I feel like maybe people are also connecting in music in different ways right now. Like I feel like there's a return to the basics somehow, where it's like not so much about competition anymore, but people are just like happy to support each other, which is actually really nice. Like I feel like it's changing. There's this big wave of like people are, they're ready to like hear a new thing. While before maybe we were kind of saturated because there was so much stuff happening and like so much shows and you were kind of like getting almost lazy to go out. Not another show. Like, and now I feel like, oh, when it's gonna come back? Ooh,
It's
watch
gonna
out.
come back hard.
Oh yeah, I think so. I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
So for any Montreal musician, it's basically the dream to get their song played on Shom 97.7 FM. Not only are you guys on constant stream on Shom, you guys got to go in, sit down, and perform in their studio.
Yes, twice I believe with our good boy Jason Rockman. So yeah, he was kind enough to like invite us into the studio, and we played some acoustic songs for them. It was really great. And then we got to do also the Showm Rock Room in March 2020 with an amazing lineup with the Beaches and the Anti-Queens, which are two amazing bands as well. So yeah, definitely very lucky, fortunate. And that was right before the pandemic hit as well. It was the
Yeah.
last show we played, like live show in front of people with Les Shirley. I mean, the FME. We played the FME in September, but like that was not, it's still post-pandemic. Like it's not the same thing. People are like in like separated into like kind of like cages, metal cages, if I can.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was cool though with Les Deux Luxe, pretty big shows. But definitely that one is a big like a big check on my list as well. The show Rock Room.
Nice. When you did your little set in the studio there on acoustic, what was that like to kind of break your songs down and play them in an acoustic setting? Is that something you guys are used to, or was that all new?
Yeah, like a kind of a struggle, but I feel like because me and Lisanne before, like we were doing like top 40 in the bars. We were playing like cover songs, and so for us, I guess it's kind of like a known zone. Like we're not like too much out of our comfort zone when we go back to acoustic. Definitely not. And it's always fun, like to rearrange the songs, and when you can make them sound really nice acoustically as well. That means that the song is good, I guess. When you
Yeah.
when you strip it down to the basic and it's still nice, it's because the hook is it's good.
You
But
guys
when
have some great hooks. All of your songs, every single one has amazing hooks.
thanks. Yeah, it's the pop side. Aqua. That's what it taught me.
What was it like shooting the video for Corbin Dallas? Did you guys do that on your own, or you had some help with that?
No, well, because the first EP we were with L for Breakfast Records, so they had kind of like in the label, like there was people that were actually like working for video clip, like doing video clips and providing footage and content for the artist. That was kind of doing like an inside job, I guess. But yeah, no, they helped us. Jesse Fush, the owner of the label, we came up with the idea, but like they made it happen, like visually. So yeah, and then we are fortunate enough to have like a bunch of crazy ass friends who are ready to come and give some free time against booze and goodwill. So
That's exactly what I was gonna ask, if
yeah,
they hired like actors to help you out
no,
with that, or if you got all your friends.
all our good friends, and the same thing for the She's Got Nothing On videos, like because there's like 15 characters in that video, so like very fortunate to have people that are like dedicated to being part of this project, so it's really cool.
The video for She's Got Nothing On, whose idea was it to put
Right.
you in a unibrow?
Oh, that idea. Oh God, I don't even know. I think it was like that very morning. It was not supposed to be like that at all. And I think it's like the makeup artist that was like, oh, she's like a good friend of ours, Ariane. And I think she just came up with the idea, and I was like, hell no. Like, no, there's no way. And everybody's like, yeah, you gotta do it. I was like, oh, whatever. And it just sticks. Yeah. But it's really like realistic. Like I look at it and I'm like, oh, like it would be so weird. But no, I'm not. I don't have a unibrow.
It looks great. It was a fun video to watch.
Yes, yeah, that's part of the don't fear the ridicule.
So in this time of isolation, or this time where we're already isolated, you guys decided to isolate yourselves even further and just take off to a cabin to go write the new album.
Yes, we did that. Crazy us.
Do you want to tell us a bit about your time up there?
Well, because that's the thing we do often actually when we feel like, okay, we need like a little creative bubble. I have the chance to have my stepdad who owns a couple of cabins up north, so we have the chance to go there when it's not rented, and we just have the place for ourselves and put up all the instruments, and we just we are very focused for like a week or so to compose music. And then so that's kind of something we are used to do. And then when it was time to record, and I think it was Mark who produced the album with us, Marc Chartrain. I think he came up with the idea of like this studio, the Wild Studio, which is in the woods. And we were like, oh, very seduced by the idea of like, oh yeah, like staying there for 5 days, all of us, like very like dedicated to the project, eating together and like waking up together. It was a great experience, and watching like shitty documentary about Metallica. Because there was like DVDs there, and there was no internet really, so you couldn't like have access to Netflix or anything, so we were kind of forced to like watch those DVDs. And I'm like, oh yeah, Metallica. We just watched it and it was awful.
Was that the some kind of monster?
I think so, yeah. With their like psychiatrists who are like kind of like getting into like you want to write song at some point. He's like, okay, you are way too much.
To each their own. I actually really liked that documentary, but then again, I'm a huge Metallica fan, so
Nah, not so much for me. See, maybe that's where it lost me. But
yeah.
respect, totally.
Speaking of the new album, why don't you tell everyone watching where they can pick that up? I got some links streaming down below.
Yeah. Well, they can pick it up honestly everywhere, but the great thing is that they can buy it on our Bandcamp, which give the band money, and also you can buy some vinyls because we're gonna have vinyls. It's still in a pre-sale, but I think we're gonna receive them, if I believe, somewhere around next week. So they're also gonna be available in store, and probably the 33 Tours are gonna pick them up. I know. Because we signed with their label actually for physical distribution, so they're going to be pretty much, I think, all across Quebec in your favorite music store, and then that, and then also you can buy it digitally online on Apple Music, on Bandcamp, yeah, and you can buy some cool merch as well. We got some cool long sleeves, some cool T-shirts, whatever float your boats.
The T-shirts and other merch, is that available on Bandcamp as well?
Yep, as well. And we also have a few copies of the limited edition blue vinyl that is available on, it's sold out on Bandcamp, but it's still available on the Return to Analog website. So I think it's returntoanalog.com, if I believe.
Nice. I'm going to ask you to message me that
Yes.
link a little bit later. I'm going to put it in the description in the YouTube channel so people can check that out after the fact. Also, I believe next Friday is Bandcamp Friday, where all the proceeds actually go to the artists. So go check that out, people.
Yes.
When you're recording such a great album like this, before you step into the booth, do you have any particular vocal warm-ups that you do?
Well, the thing is, the vocals is always the last thing we do for us. We proceeded to, like, when we were in the Wild studio, I didn't do any vocals, basically. It was just the basics. So when we got to the vocals, it was like afterward at Simon's home studio. And yeah, I think I drank like lemon teas for like a week before, and I really tried not to like drink and smoke anything. And yeah, of course, vocal warm up before, like, but usually we would go for like 2 songs, 3 if I was in the mood in the same day. So that was really intense vocally. And I remember like crying after like 4 days of recording vocals. I was so like, because it's very intense emotionally, because you cannot just, like sing. It's like you have to like, you have to have the right emotion. So it's like, it's very demanding, I feel.
It is, definitely.
Yeah, I remember crying. Like I just sat on the toilet seat. I was like, because the booth was in the bathroom. That's what I'm saying. And like, I just sat after it. I was like, oh my God. Like I just started crying for like the release. It's done. Yeah.
The first time I was about to get into a vocal booth to lay down some tracks, somebody suggested to me to try drinking some olive oil.
Oh.
And don't ever try that. It's horrible. Yeah. Yes, it does like very much lubricate your throat, but it just leaves this horrible burning sensation.
Burning? I wouldn't have thought that. Why?
It's just, I don't know. It's just very tingly and burning. I would suggest you don't ever try that.
I won't, because I've never heard of that before, I have to say. So, wow. Okay.
Yeah. When you're recording the vocals, do you take your guitar into the booth with you?
Nope.
No?
No hair play. I really no. I usually have my lyrics with me, either on my phone or like on paper. And I just like do a lot of hand movements. I really sing with like, it's really helping me to like get the right note with my hands. I don't know, like those gestures are really part of my routine, vocal routine, definitely. But no guitar, no. Do you?
So yeah, I do. I have to.
Yeah.
I have to. I can't.
The same like presence as in a show?
That's it. I don't play it. I don't play it at all. I like hold it so that the strings don't vibrate and whatnot. Yeah. But I need to have it in my hand. Otherwise, it's not the same emotion.
Really? That's very interesting. I never heard that before. Interesting.
Yeah. The first time I tried to do it, the producer was like, no, I'm not letting you do it. He wouldn't let me bring my guitar in. And then the second time I recorded with the same producer, he was like, bring it in. You sing better with it.
He saw that you were struggling, maybe. Or even if
Exactly.
it's like harder, like when you're used to like do something, you know, it's really like about getting comfortable actually. So yeah, definitely whatever works for you, you should do.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's what works for me. But
F that producer. So
no, he's a nice guy.
he's definitely someone
He's
nice.
working on a single for us right now, so let's talk good about him.
Yeah, love you.
Speaking of singles, the single off of Forever Is Now that is all over the radio right now, Fuck It, I'm in Love.
Yes.
This is a great song. Do you mind sharing the story about how you came up with the lyrics for that?
Oh yeah, I can do that for you. What? Okay, I need to like. What did I do? Oh yeah, because I think like this song was actually one of the last written for this album. I think we were like we had enough song, I believe, and we were like at the jam space sitting around, and I was just like, you know, like effing around on my guitar a little bit, and I just came up with those like notes, and Sarah was like, "Oh, what's that?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like, I like that, so we just like started jamming around this, and I think we did kind of a stricture that day. We recorded it, and I brought it home. Or no, we were in the studio, and I was like, okay, you girls, can you like get out for like 15 minutes, and I'm gonna write lyrics. And it came like, I think in 20 minutes we had like the whole song done, lyric wise, I mean. And then when it came back, I just sang it to them, and it was like, okay, perfect, we love it. And it's because actually, I think it's talking about. I don't know if you believe in love at first sight, or like, you know, anything like being struck by love. I didn't believe in that before meeting this particular person at a friend's birthday party. Like, she came to the restaurant. I believe it was an hour late. You know, like in the movie. She just came in, like she showed up an hour late, and I just literally stopped talking, and I was like, I don't know, like just struck right there and then. And then it's talking about that feeling when you're like, you know, there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, fuck it, I'm in love. Might as well just give in, because this feeling is not going away. And I'm just going to have to roll with it, even if I don't want to be in love. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole gist of it.
Did you guys struggle with the decision to censor the word fuck, or did you already have it planned out to have like a radio-friendly version?
Because we didn't know at first it was going to be a single. But you know, as the album production was going on, we were like, okay, it became pretty clear that we wanted it to be the first single. So I think we almost forgot, actually. It was the very last day. We were like in the studio with Ryan, the guy who mixed, and we were listening to like the final mix or something. And I'm like, I realized, oh, but wait, like we need like a clean version. And we didn't know what to say, like something that is gonna, you know, fit in the same like punchiness of like fuck it, something with F, like something we're like looking for it. Mama, I'm in love. Nah, like baby, like, oh, that's like all wrong. And then I think it's Ryan who said like, oh, why don't you say like forget it? And I'm like, that works. And then he just like opened the booth. We just went in, recorded it with the same mic, and that was like done in 15 minutes as well. So yeah, but it was a good choice because definitely
I was gonna say definitely a very good decision
it
because
was a split second decision that paid off for sure.
as a fellow guitarist and gearhead, I gotta ask, what do you use on your board?
Ooh, I like that question. This is a question that they never ask you. Wow, I have my board right behind me. Actually,
Oh, perfect.
looking at it right now. Um, I have a couple of overdrives pedal. I have the good old Rat, because I'm a Nirvana fan, right?
That's the same one I use. I love it.
It's awesome. Well, this is not an overdrive. It's a distortion, but yeah. So the Rats, and then I found out about those very cheap pedals, Japanese made Joyo pedals that are kind of like replicating very famous sounds.
Yeah, they're clones.
They are, but they are for the bucks, like wow, bangers. I have two of those on my pedal board actually. I have one that is I don't see because it's all taped, but whatever. It's kind of a reproduction for the Tube Screamer. And then you have also the original analog chorus, like that really, really sound 80s, like perfect 80s dirtiness. I love it. So two of the Joyos for sure. And
Do you use your Tube Screamer clone as a pair with your rat?
yeah, I layer them for like having boosts in solos or like having different tones, definitely. And I also have I have the Super Overdrive by Bus as well that I like it. It's more blend, but I like it as a boost as well. But definitely, yeah, stacking those babies all the time. And I also have Electro Harmonics Ocean 11, which is like a delay slash reverb multifunction pedal and delay pedal, digital delay, and a phaser as well. That's what I have on right now on the board. But it's switching. Like this is what I have now, but it depends of what the mood. Yeah, but mainly I really like overdrive and distortion the best. It's my go-to, like of course as a rock guitar player. But the rat is, yeah.
Our boards have a lot in common. I actually have pretty much the exact same setup as you, minus the phaser. Yeah. And I too like to stack my Tube Screamer into my rat.
Yeah, yes, definitely. That's the order they are in.
Yeah.
From left to right. But yeah, it's definitely a very, I don't know, I was not sure because the first time I actually tried the rat was for my other project. I was in the studio recording for Scissors, like an electronic pop project. And on this song, there was a guitar lick, and I was like, oh, I want it to be very like, but very in the background, but very, very distorted and like cringy almost. And I think it's like Sebastian, the tech guy, was like, oh, I have this pedal. You got to try it on. It was a rat, like an old dusty rat he pulled off from a drawer. And I was like, I just fell in love with it instantly. And especially when he said that Kurt Cobain was using that, I was like, okay, well, sold.
Nice. Who would be your dream collaborator?
I am HAIM. They're a trio from LA. They just released this amazing album this year. It's called Woman in Music Part 3, which they got a nomination at the Grammys for. They are three sisters from like the Valley in Los Angeles, and they just rock. They're so cool. Like honestly, if you don't know that band, you got to check them out. IAM, which is their last name. So they're three sisters: Danielle, IAM, Alana, and AST. So
I've heard of them before. I've never actually heard their music, but I've seen their name around. I thought it was pronounced Haim, but now I'm gonna check them out.
Yeah, and I thought so, but because we were listening on the way to Quebec City for a show the other day, we were listening to the podcast Song Exploder. And there's an episode about, it's basically like when artists breaks down like parts by part their songs. Really amazing. If you don't know that as well, check it out. But yeah, there was an episode about IAM, and she introduced herself as Danielle IAM. And I was like, oh, okay.
There you go.
Makes sense. Like a Jewish name, it makes sense. Yeah.
If you were stuck on a desert island and you could only bring one CD with you that you had to live with for the rest of your life, what would that be?
Oh my God, this is like torture. I don't even know. Ooh. Oh my God. Okay, I'm really like serious about this right now. What would it be? I love so many of them.
Mine would be Our Lady Peace's Clumsy. I've said it before on other shows, but that's an album I can always go back to. Every single song is amazing.
I honestly, the first thing that came to my mind was Evanescence Fallen for some reason. Because I've always I can go back to this album and always feel good. Even if it's super dark and like very dark, definitely. But I don't know. I really like this album somehow. I guess it's because I'm so nostalgic about it. But I guess I could definitely listen to it forever still. And I know that Evanescence are not the best right now.
I heard they have a comeback. They
have a comeback, but they used to be a metal band, and now it's like pop electronic pop music. It's weird. Like I don't.
Oh, really? I haven't heard anything. I saw an article the other day, and I was just like, "Oh my god, these guys are back!" Like,
No, but not, and I mean also that the original formation from back then is long gone. The only remaining member, I think, is the singer, Amy Lee. That's her name. But I guess, yeah, I don't know. It was
how do you feel when a band does that? When they come back and it's none of the same members? Like,
I feel like they're using the name for notoriety when you could just start a new project fresh.
that's it.
Because
The one band that really bothered me that did that was Stone Temple Pilots. They tried coming back with like the guy from Linkin Park, which is great. He's a great singer, and they had another singer before that at a certain point. I can't remember his name, and they were both really great. But I was just like, how you can't use the same name?
Chris Cornell, right?
No, that was Soundgarden.
On Soundgarden, but it didn't sing with the Stone Temple Pilots. I don't know. I don't
think so.
Okay, my mistake.
That's all right. Do you have any guilty pleasure TV shows? Like something that should embarrass you to watch, but you watch it anyways?
Yes, many. Many, yes.
Are you willing to admit them on air live?
Yeah. I'm like, somehow, lately, I've been watching Dragon Ball.
Oh, that's an amazing show. That's not guilty pleasure. That was a wicked show.
I feel like not for you, but like for most people, it's like kind of odd. Or like, when they put back Pokemon Indigo League on Netflix, I also got into that. So, like those kind of, yes.
I have the excuse of having a 9-year-old kid, so I get to be like, hey, Delilah, come check out this cool TV show. But it's really because I want to watch it.
Yes, exactly right. But I really like Pokemon for sure.
Did you ever play the games when you were younger?
Oh yeah, I'm a massive gamer. That's what people don't know as well about me. I really like gaming. Yes, I'm a fan of Pokemon for sure.
To this day, I'll say Pokemon is probably one of the greatest RPGs that was ever made.
Yeah. And I also played, because I have a Nintendo Switch, and I bought the Pokemon, then the last one they did in the open world. It was pretty great. But I mean, Zelda. I'm a Zelda fan. This is like, for me, it's the Breath of the Wild is like a masterpiece, an absolute masterpiece. I like beat the game twice, and my roommate just started playing it, and I'm like, okay, I need to like not get involved into this game a third time. Like, and I feel like I'm on this little tiny, the line, I'm like, I could totally spend another 100 hours playing that, but that's enough.
That's on what console?
It's the Switch, the Nintendo Switch as well. It's the latest. They released it in 2018, I think. Still waiting for the follow-up, which is supposed to be 2022.
I still don't think anything can beat Ocarina of Time.
Oh, I mean, it's a classic. Yes, it's the first one I played on my Nintendo 64 back then.
Yeah. They need to remake that game as is, exactly as it is, but with new graphics.
The water temple is horrible.
It is. It was so tricky.
I don't like it. No, but I mean, I love the game, but like, it's so tricky.
I grew up playing that game, but I never actually owned the game. It was something I would go to the video store and rent all the time.
Really? But I feel like it's not a game that you can do that because it's so long to pass. It took me years to pass it.
That's the thing. I probably racked up about $500 in rental fees on this game when I could have just went and bought it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't my money. I was like 10 years old. That was my parents. They just kept renting it for me. I kept asking for it for Christmas, but they never got it for me, so I just kept renting it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And did you beat it in the end or no?
I'm sure I did. Probably not 100%. There's so much to that game. But
no.
Yeah, I completed the storyline.
For sure.
But not on my own. Definitely not on my own.
No, I had because back then there was not really internet, and
I remember my
game book, like the
book.
The book.
Yeah.
The temple and they were telling you tricks and tips and stuff.
That's it. It had all the maps and everything. Yeah. What a world we lived in back then, with no internet. You had to have a friend who owned that book, or you had to be that hardcore of a gamer back then to actually subscribe to these
Yes,
books.
yes. But I was like, this game, honestly, because I remember when my dad bought me this Nintendo 64. It came with the console, and I was not really speaking any English back then. I was like 7 years old. And so, but this game is kind of intricate when you don't understand what's going on because there's a lot of dialogues. It's telling you where to go, but like if you don't understand, like I couldn't figure out what to do. And I was like, oh, this game, like it's bullshit. I don't like it. And then I spent like 2 years playing something else. And then 2 years later, when I had some English classes in school and I was better at understanding, I was like, oh, like the music, the universe of that game, like the music really, really is awesome. Like it's part of my top. And he died like recently, the composer for the Zelda games, and I was
Oh,
like,
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's so sad. I think it's Kenji Kondo. His name is.
Oh, that sounds familiar. So
Yeah. So, but he, masterpiece. Yeah.
I think what I liked the most about that game was it kind of tricked you. It tricked you into thinking that you were in this open world where anything could happen. You didn't know where you were going unless you really, really paid attention. And that's when you realize how linear that game actually is. Because if you go back and play it right now,
Yeah.
it's basically a straight line from the front to
It's
the end.
telling you where to go. Like
Exactly.
as in, if you ever have the chance to play Breath of the Wild, it's just this is like next level. The map, the freedom, you can basically do anything and interact with anything. Like you just pick up an apple and you can cook it and it's gonna do stuff, and it's like so crazy. That's why I spent honestly 400 hours on that game, and I did not complete everything. So it's crazy. Anyway, if you have the chance to play it ever, like do it.
I'll probably get into it at some point soon. My kid's getting old enough now where she's asking me for a Nintendo Switch for Christmas and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, there's some cool games for sure. Yeah.
So this is a question that I ask every guest, and if you've seen my show before, I'm sure you were expecting it. But if not, I'm going to catch you off guard.
Go ahead.
So, if you could fight any celebrity, who would it be?
Ooh. Oh my God! Like fight, like a physically fight?
I mean, it could be a fantasy world. It doesn't have to be a real thing. I know some people are non-violent. I'm non-violent, but just for the fun of it.
Yeah. Like okay, like in Mortal Kombat, we have like
Exactly.
Okay. That's a good question. That's a very good question. I have no idea. I guess like for me it would be like a fight, but then like you're just like rolling around half naked and it's nice. It's like it's that.
Sure.
Okay, I would go with so many. I don't even know. Like Charlize Theron?
Charlize Theron? Is she even still relevant nowadays? What's the last thing she did?
She is in a quite decent amount of movies, but in a couple last years, I believe. I think so. Yeah.
The last movie I saw her in was that one with Seth Rogen, where they were like spies.
Oh my god, no. Wow. I was just like thinking about her back then, or like I don't know, like yeah. I don't know, like early, like the 90s, maybe like. I would definitely have a good fight with Courtney Cox when she was playing in Friends.
That's a good answer.
Yes, she was fire. Oof. Like, wow. But nowadays, not so much. But back then, yeah. Yeah,
that's great.
Totally.
Great answers. I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight. Is there any last words you'd like to say to your fans before we head out?
Well, I'm going to look straight up into the camera for this because we love you and we hear you and we see you and we can't wait to go back playing shows. Honestly, it's such a shitty situation for artists. We're the first ones to get cut off and the last one that is going to be allowed to get back into business. But yeah, as soon as there's a possibility of shows, we are there, and we can't wait to like share a moment, a sweaty, like nasty show late at night with people. Thank you.
You heard the woman. Raphael, it was so nice to have you on tonight. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
For everybody listening, the new album, Forever Is Now. Check those links scrolling down below. Go get them on Bandcamp. Find them in stores near you. Limited edition vinyl. You can pick that up.
Yep.
We are going to play you off with your hit song, Fuck It, I'm in Love.
Rock.
Have a good night.
See ya.